What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zamboni. I am an herbalist and astrologer. I am out here at Wadia de Osa, the Ocean Forest Eco Lodge in Costa Rica. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. Of course, if you are into this content and you like what I do, I super appreciate tips via Venmo or PayPal. I super appreciate everybody who shows up with a sustaining contribution on Patreon. There's a whole bunch of extra content that comes out for Patreon members, as well as all of my previous lectures and things of this nature. It's a really good deal. So check it out there. Thank you so much for even just watching and telling your friends. I super appreciate everybody out in this community. This is not a one-man affair. This is all of us together getting it. So thank y'all. All right, enough of that shit. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So we have, it's time for the full moon in Scorpio, y'all. Woo! All right. I honestly am like pretty into this one. I like this full moon in Scorpio, not because it's easy, right? And I don't expect ease. I don't expect comfort from this full moon. But I do expect breakups, breakdowns, breakthroughs. I'm really hoping for breakthroughs myself, Sometimes these breaks, they look how they look. But, so what we're looking at here, so it's full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is opposite to Taurus. So we got the sun in Taurus, we got the moon in Scorpio. That opposition is what makes a full moon. Then we have so it's not just the sun in Taurus, right? We also have Mercury here. We also have Venus here. We also have Uranus here, and we have Uranus very nearby to the sun. So we're looking at Uranus at 10 degrees and the sun at 8 degrees, and so this is this applying even. So this is like very strongly aligned to Uranus and Taurus. And then immediately after that, then both the moon and the sun are going to square Saturn in Aquarius. And so this is very much highlighting in some kind of way, highlighting the way that luminaries do, right? The way that they sort of bring things to light or talk about things in some kind of important way. There's something here a lot of times about vitality and and with it being in Scorpio and Taurus, I might think that the vitality of bodies will show up in some kind of way. People like to talk about Taurus and like sensual pleasure and stuff like that, which is totally true. Scorpio also really gets into sensual pleasure. There's an intensity here. There's a really visceral body sensation that is often associated with both of these signs. And so to see the sun and the moon highlighting something, we can usually think of the full moon as being some kind of culmination, right? It's the culmination of the lunar cycle. It's the sort of like the moon has been growing and growing and growing, and now we're here. It's the tipping point. It's the place where the wave crests at the top, right? It's the foamy stuff. It's like we're coming out and like coming over the top, and then we sort of come down on the other side. And so there's this culmination moment, right? And so we've got something culminating around this Uranus in Taurus versus Saturn in Aquarius theme that we've been working through all year, and that we will continue to work through the rest of the year, and as well moving into 2022. So recently, for the last week or two, I've been really excited about Uranus and Taurus. I've been talking about things like rest as liberation, or I've been talking about things like sensual pleasure or pleasure in general, bodily pleasure of some sort, as resistance. And I think that there's so much here that is that's really sort of like coming out through this, right? I've been thinking about how whatever you think is going on in this historical moment, we can all be sure that bodies are right at the center of it, right? And our relationship to bodies and our relationship to not only our own bodies, but the bodies of other people as well. And then y'all know that I like to think beyond just human people, right? So what does it mean for humans to be in relation to non-human bodies as well? And what is it like? We can even talk about bodies of water, or we can talk about the bodies that plants or birds live in, or any of this kind of things, right? Our relationship to these bodies really comes into stark relief during this time. Scorpio is known for its emotional intensity here, and as well, right? So we're looking at something about like plumbing emotional depths around relationships to bodies and feeling in some way, Uranus really wants to talk about liberation a lot of times. There's some kind of break that wants to happen. That's where the breakups, breakdowns, breakthroughs come into the picture, right? Uranus is it sometimes can be like the lightning bolt. Sometimes it feels a little bit like the Tower card. There's a sense of like, I simply cannot repress this any longer. It has to come out of me. I got to get this out in some kind of way. There's something often about genuine authenticity or got to be real in some kind of way. You and Cheryl Lynn, I know that there's a feeling here, right, that starts to come out with this Uranus and Taurus, but it has to it meets resistance around Saturn and Aquarius. Saturn and Aquarius is associated with Saturn went into Aquarius in March of last year. What happened in March of last year, right? And there's been this whole sort of like new way of approaching life in society. And so there are new rules for living in the world, and there's resistance to that in Uranus and Taurus. And so there's a lot here about navigating this tension, which is so prevalent throughout the whole year. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think that's going to be pretty dope. You got to lean in on this one. This is not a comfortable lunation. The full moon in Scorpio isn't comfortable. It's not one of the comfortable ones. It does have the sun in Taurus there, and this is really great for sensuous debauchery, right? So full moon in Scorpio is like really good for that sort of thing. Like the Too Much Fun Club, it lives under the full moon in Scorpio sometimes. But this time with it being a T-square with Saturn as well, there's a strong component here of like engaging with responsibility and engaging with systems dynamics that I think is going to be a little hard on the debauchery and the fun stuff. People who want to sort of like have a raunchy good time under the full moon in Scorpio, because who doesn't want to? Moving into that, it might you might meet some resistance, you might find some difficulty or have to engage with some challenge in that because of the Saturn in Aquarius restriction, constriction, system moment that's going on here. So I have talked up all my time on the full moon in Scorpio. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that I wanted to talk about. Guess you got to follow the dailies for that. There was one more thing that I wanted to mention. It's that on Halloween of last year of 2020, there was a full moon in Taurus that was conjunct Uranus, and I said some things about liberation in that moment, and about throwing off chains. I mentioned slavery in that moment. So if you want to go back through my weekly forecast to the one that I did for Halloween week, then there's a strong resonance with what's going on this week, and I think that it's really important to think with these ways, because there are so many of us who are feeling restricted, constricted, and unfree in some kind of way. And there's a push here toward getting free, but it's not easy. It's not simple. We have to stay with the trouble. And I think that there's this looks like a great opportunity to me. I like doing hard stuff sometimes. Hopefully you do too. We are a people who are strong and resilient and up to the challenge. So let's do it. Okay, really, I'm going to stop now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for your support, for your love, for your adoration, for sending heart eye emojis to my cat friend, just like really all of it. I really appreciate all y'all so much. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you. God bless. I'll see you next time.